Hello everyone and welcome back to another week's video. In this one I'm going to be talking to you about travel photography because I have just booked all of my trips for 2025 and all of the locations are now fully booked, so all I've got to do is wait. So on the back of doing all of that, I thought I'd talk to you about how to do travel photography better and be more successful when you go away. Now it's very important when you're coming to book and plan different trips to have a various list in places that you want to go. It's all well and good saying that you want to photograph New York. Everyone does, including myself. But New York is a long way away for most people and quite expensive to go to. That might be your only trip for that year. Some people might want to do just one trip a year. Myself, I like to get out and about as much as possible. So I would rather plan various different locations. So having a list in terms of this place I want to go to, this place I want to go to, and being able to identify what's best in what weather conditions, what's best at different times of year, and going off-peak will allow you to capture more of the culture for one, and it be less busy with tourists, but it will also save you some money and allow you to fit more in throughout the year. So being able to have a list of locations that you want to go to and identify which ones are best at different times of the year, having a look at YouTube videos, having a look at people's Instagram posts from those locations, and just doing a bit of research will help you with that. But there's also a ton of different things that you need to account for. Street photography and travel photography will involve a hell of a lot of walking, so being able to identify what the terrain is like when you're going to certain places, what shoes that you need to bring, because a comfortable pair of shoes makes your life a hell of a lot easier when photographing the streets and photographing different countries. For example, in a couple of weeks I'll go to Egypt and then Jordan from there, both very hot deserty climates. I'm not going to be taking dark clothing. I'm going to be planning accordingly and having comfortable shoes and shoes that can handle rougher terrain. Different if you're going to a city, just normal sneakers, some things that people might find comfortable, but I always plan around my shoes, no matter where I'm going. If my shoes can handle it, that's the first thing I think about. If not, I will be buying more shoes. Just because I want my feet to feel comfortable, the less fatigued your feet are and the less fatigued you feel, the more you're going to be focused on different things to capture. Another thing to keep in mind is you get complacent when you're photographing the same places and the same things over and over again. Meaning, for me, living in London, I photograph London a hell of a lot, and yeah, admittedly, I get complacent. Sometimes I will miss a shot because I'm not 100% focused and I'm not aware of my surroundings, and other times I just won't take the shot because it's just not as interesting. But if you haven't been to a place before or you don't frequent a place as often, you will be finding a lot more things enjoyable to shoot. You will find a lot more places to find photographs, whether it be a side street or an alleyway, something you might overlook in your own town, but something that you might find really interesting, the way the light hits and all that sort of stuff in a different country. So if you're in a different country and taking photographs like that, you will find that you'll be getting more shots anyway. A lot of them won't be any good, and when you come back to flick through, you'll have more photos to go through, but some of them will piece together and will make something that you otherwise wouldn't have got if you were just shooting your local town. In addition to planning, you've got to plan for yourself as well. A lot of the times people have different, routines, different environments. Myself, I love getting out as early as possible, staying out as late as possible, and just making a full day of it. I don't care if I'm walking 50, 60,000 steps in a day. I will do it because one, I enjoy that sort of thing, and two, I feel like I'll be able to capture the whole day better than just a few hours in the morning, take an hour's break, couple hours again, take another break. Now, sure, it depends on you. Some people might love a lie-in, but just make sure that you have that and you've planned accordingly. Having your hotel based in a central location is always going to help because you're around the areas that you want to shoot most. For example, for me, I am a 10-minute walk from the center of Cairo when I stay in Egypt. And I'm traveling from place to place in Jordan, so I've got hotels staggered throughout. So I am just in the hustle and bustle of it all, and I'm taking photos from the moment I get out to the moment I get back to the hotel. There isn't any travel time, there isn't any delays in terms of that. The same with Portugal, which we're doing later in the summer. Our hotels are literally right in the center of it all. Now you might pay a premium for this, but this is why you might be better off going off season and stuff like that. We saved a hell of a lot of money by doing Egypt during Ramadan, because not only is it going to allow me to capture culture better and capture the whole environment, but it's March, it's going to be 25 degrees, something like that, so nice enough and good walking weather, but it's not busy with tourists because it's March and it's not the main tourist season. Even though it starts to get busy around April, May, we're doing it right before then, so a great opportunity to capture some culture, capture some photos without it being so busy, and having central locations and hotels and stuff like that means I'm always going to be in the thick of it, always going to be able to capture photos around that area. Next, again on the same theme of planning, is planning your route itself. You've planned your shoes, you've planned what to pack, just make sure that you plan your route before you go, whether that be looking at YouTube videos, looking at people's Instagrams from the location, or going onto Google Maps. I do this quite a bit, and basically look at places that appeal to you on Street View or just the general overview of the area that you're staying in, and basically draw a dotted line on the map. Not literally, don't draw on your screen, but actually have a dotted line about the place of where you want to go, just point to point. I want to stop here, or this looks interesting, and basically a day-to-day route that you're going to take. Now, you don't want to do the same route every day, so you might have day one, I'll do this route, day two, I'll do this route, and just have an idea on where you're going to go and different things along that route that you could go into. For example, a lot of the places that I go to in new places is touristy locations and churches and castles and different things like that. One, I find that interesting. Two, I think it has great light in those locations. And three, it probably gives the best viewpoints in the city. So I always tend to plan those in along the route, which means you're also going to need to plan a budget per day, but that's general travel anyway. And then have those points and times allotted for those locations in your route planning as well. So I'm going to spend an hour here, then move on, and this route takes 40 minutes, and then I'm going to spend another bit of time here and then go on from there. Have that all planned out. Now, it doesn't need to be a military schedule. You don't need to stick to it to the minute. You can deviate. You can walk down a side street that you find interesting. You can stop at a pub. You can do whatever you want to do. But just having a rough idea on where you want to go is really important. It'll make your life so much easier as well, just having a rough route that you could follow. And then, of course, you're going to want to plan for weather as well. It's one of the most unpredictable things, and you're going to want to be ready no matter whether it's rain, wind, or shine. So make sure you've got an umbrella with you. Even if it's a place that doesn't rain often, just have it. It doesn't need to be on you all the time, but if it looks grey out before you actually leave for the morning, just have a rough idea, check the weather before you leave for the day, and have an umbrella with you at the hotel just in case. I was caught out in the middle of Paris in a day that didn't look like it was going to rain at all, and I didn't have an umbrella with me. Luckily my camera was weather sealed, but for those that don't have a weather sealed camera, an umbrella or a clear plastic bag just to throw over the camera and push the lens right up to the end. It won't affect your image quality, but it will keep your camera dry and secure, and that is the main thing, right? We don't want our cameras absolutely bugging out on a day of walking because you've got a little bit of rain in your sensor. So make sure that everything's secure in that regard, and make sure that you're encountering all weather and covering for it. And once you're planning out your route, make sure that you've given yourself more than enough time to do things. You're in a new location, you're going to want to see it and make the most of it, right? So don't just give yourself, this is what Google Maps is telling me this walk would be, so that's what time I'm going to set for that. Give yourself an extra half an hour, give yourself some breathing room, because one, it'll account for delays and compensate for that, but it'll also mean that you can take in the city a bit more, take in the environment you're in a little bit more. You're in a new location, everything is going to be new to you, and it's not like you're going to come back every day to take photos, because once you're done, you might not come back. So make the most of the time that you're there, be in the moment, just admire your surroundings, and think in sets. When you're taking photos, I can't stress this enough, change your mindset to think about the photos as a set, because it will give your photos so much more life when it comes to looking back on them. If you're going ahead and taking a photo of just a scene that's going on, capture some details around that area. You know, a little bit of light hitting a coffee table in a coffee shop is a nice little detail. Have your big hero shot as the vista on a viewpoint. Have your everyday shots, the things that you like taking photos of, and then have your detailed shots as well. The car side mirror, or, you know, a license plate, or a little, you know, bit of food. Who knows? Whatever you want to take photos of. Just think in sets. One large grand scale image, the everyday, then the detail. And then put all that together, it tells a whole different story than if you're just uploading those photos as individuals. Because a picture of a coffee table with a nice bit of light on it, sure, that's great, but tell the story around that. Tell what's going on around that area, and then the area you're in, just narrow it down and think in sets, because it will tell a whole different story and make your images come alive when you're looking at it. And I think that's really important. So take your time, think about that in your mindset, and then if you are, like me, wanting to make the most of your time again, and you're going to go from city to city in that country or in that area, then make sure that you've planned your time accordingly again. Whether it be that you want to see different things, it might be more time effective to do a guided tour or get a day trip out somewhere and be able to factor all that in as part of a tour. You might see things that you wouldn't have noticed otherwise. You'll get your time all calculated for you. Vice versa, you might be better off doing a self-guided thing or just winging it yourself, but being able to have that option and think about that as you're planning is vastly, vastly important. And on the back of that, have some goals in mind. Challenge yourself before you go and think to yourself, this is an image that I want to capture, or I want to capture something like this around this area. For example, I really wanted to get a picture around the iconic Louvre when I was in Paris, and that meant I spent a hell of a lot of time there. It was quite close to our hotel anyway, so it wasn't too out of the way, and most of our walking routes ended through there or walked past there at some point during the day. So I was able to capture that a hell of a lot, and it worked out. I got one of my favorite shots I've ever taken outside the Louvre at about midnight. So it was worthwhile, right? It was something that I planned in beforehand. I didn't plan it like the image came out, but I knew that I wanted to go to the Louvre, capture a silhouette with it all lit up, and it worked really well. So being able to just have an idea on what you want to get in your head before you go, or as you're walking, there might be a place that you've seen and you really, really like that you want to come back to. So just being able to have a plan and go, oh, that would look good if, for example, Cairo, I want to get a perspective shot of an animal, whether it be a camel or a dog or something like that, looking bigger than the pyramids of Giza. I don't know how it's going to work out yet. This is all being recorded before I go. But I have that vision in mind of a shot that I really want to get, whether the animal is a silhouette above the pyramid and the pyramids are the ones in focus, or vice versa. I want to get something around that. I want to just play with scale and play with perspective in that area. The same when it comes to the bazaar markets. I'm going to be thinking in sets. I'm going to get a picture of the bazaar. I'm going to capture me every day. And then I might get details of the little spices hanging on the shelf and all that sort of stuff. All of those things I've already thought about. All of those things I've watched on YouTube. I've seen travel vlogs. I've seen, like, there's these videos of like 4-hour walking videos, and it's just someone walking with a GoPro strapped to them. Nothing else. I've looked at all of those already, and I thought, you know, I'm going to get that while I'm there. I'm going to get this while I'm there. When I travel to Jordan, I'm going to Petra, so I've got ideas in mind on viewpoints and different areas that I can get shots. And when it comes to the Wadi Rum, which is a desert just south of Petra, looks incredible. I've researched, I've seen the surroundings. We've booked a Jeep tour so we can take ourselves out into the desert and capture scenes. Having A Bedouin walking with a camel through the desert is something that I want to capture. All of those have been planned out. I haven't quite planned out Portugal yet, but let's get the Middle East out the way, and then I'm sure my head will start spiraling into different things that I can capture there as well. But having a plan, planning is everything, and some people might be one of those people that just wing it depending on what they're going to do each day. But making sure you have a plan, just even if it's very, very vague, will help you have an idea on what you're going to capture. And then when you think in sets and you have all these ideas going through your head, the whole thing will be so much easier. So yeah, that's it. Plan, and plan some more. Make sure you've got some good shoes, think in sets, have an idea of what you want to capture, and just live in the moment. Once you're there, take in everything, enjoy some culture, go a bit out of the way of touristy things and just experience local culture for a little bit and just get lost and enjoy your time. Enjoying it is the main thing, right? Having memories to look back on in the form of pictures is a bonus, but enjoying it once you're there, it's everything, you know? So thank you so much for watching. If this video helped you get some inspiration on some travel or made you think to yourself, yeah, I'm going to do my travel photography better thanks to this video, then let me know. If it was just a load of waffle, also let me know. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.